Sean. Didn't know you were working today.
Hey, Kevin. Yeah, how are you? I'm just taking over for your shift.
Good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So, what do we got going on today?
Well, we had a great interview with John Lina yesterday. That was really awesome. So this is today's episode. Really great guy. 85 years old. You would never know it looking at him.
I honestly thought he was 65.
Right? I put him in his 70s. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, I'll have just a coffee, please.
That's a fake bar. What are we doing here? Anyways, yeah, and then in honor of his wife who's got Alzheimer's, our thing that we'll be covering, our FLAMP 3 that we'll be doing today will be Alzheimer's Society. Details will be in the comments and the details of the video. But yeah, check it out. Don't forget to subscribe.
Hit subscribe. All right.
All right.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks. All right. Welcome, everybody. Today we got John Lin, right?
Lina. L-I-N-A. Lina.
Lina.
Yeah.
John Lina. Sorry, I should have looked at my notes before we got on camera. Well, welcome. We're glad to have you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you do some acting now.
Yeah,
last 15 years.
I retired from business about when I was 65.
Yeah.
At the time, I was the French consul for Kentucky.
Oh, really?
And needed to know French. So I went to U of L and took some classes over there. And while there, I took a class in creative writing. And the professor said, you need to go take an acting class so you can know what you're writing about and what you're talking about, especially if you're going to do playwriting.
Yeah. So
I took a class in acting, and one of my classmates told me on first night, he said, they're looking for somebody to play Romeo's father in Romeo and Juliet, and the big production they were getting ready to start. So I auditioned for it and got the job right off the bat.
All right. So did you take this acting class like later in life, like
yeah,
last 15
I was
years?
about 70 when I took
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was like a walk-on varsity kind of a thing, right onto the main production stage at U of L. And costumes, the whole works. It was a lot of fun. But it kind of set the hook as far as I was concerned in acting. I've never thought about doing anything else since,
Yeah, I think everyone should take acting classes. I took them in high school.
Oh, yeah.
I think everyone should do it because I think it gives you confidence just being, like putting you on stage and talking to people and stuff. I don't know, maybe. So what did you do? What were you doing? What was your business and your job and your career prior to that?
I was in corporate management for a long time, and then they downsized the company and I was cashiered out. So I bought a franchise in training people how to use computers. Executrain franchise. And Louisville was probably the best market available at the time. Yeah. It was either here or Sacramento, California. When I looked at the economics of California at the time, it was over my head. I mean, I just couldn't wrap my head around $35 a square foot for office space. And
oh yeah, and when was this? What year was this?
This was 1990.
Okay.
Yeah, 91.
Yeah.
And so Louisville being a good market, we came over to visit some friends here, and they were from St. Louis, which is where I was born and raised. And I'll tell you, this was like going home to me. Louisville and St. Louis are so similar in attitude and even looks, that felt very comfortable for me. So we got the franchise and brought it here opened in January of 92. And we had it for about 9 years, and the market changed. People, all of a sudden, everybody knew how to use a computer. I mean, it just kind of filtered out into the population.
Yeah.
So it was either sell out to somebody who wanted to make the next step of investment into technical computing, like the Microsoft Engineer and Oracle and those high-end technical products, or it was either I make that big investment or somebody else would make it, and I decided somebody else was going to have to make it because I was getting close to retirement at that time anyway.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I got out of the business in 2000, and sort of retired at that point. I was involved in an international group here because I've worked overseas for a while. And my association there got me in this job, or in this position as the French consul for the state of Kentucky, which led to the class and led to the acting class,
yeah.
and finally wound up in acting as I am now.
So they had you take. So in order to learn French, you took acting classes as well. That's interesting.
I went to school to learn how to speak French.
Yeah.
And while I was there, I thought, well, I might as well take another class.
Right.
I'm over here anyway. So I took a writing class and then an acting class.
Do you wish you had maybe, like when you were younger, do you wish you'd maybe thought about taking acting classes then?
Well, I
now
think
in hindsight?
In hindsight, it would have been fun to start a lot earlier, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I did do a lot of, I don't know if you'd call it on stage or what, on platform anyway, training for the Dale Carnegie courses.
Okay.
Taking the Dale Carnegie course changed my life. I took it in 1972, and I mean, it made all the difference in the world to me.
What is that course?
It's a course in human relations. Actually, it's a course in confidence. And
Okay.
You boil it right down to confidence. You learn how to trust yourself. You learn how to trust other people. You talk about the acting class, getting people up in front of people and confident in themselves.
Yeah.
That's what the Dale Carnegie course does.
Oh, okay.
And I went on to teach for them, and went on to what they call the Leadership Training for Managers class, which is like a boot camp for managers. Very practical approach to planning and getting results in any organization.
Yeah.
So I wasn't completely strange from, completely apart from being up in front of people and talking. I mean, it was an easy thing for me to do. So there was never an issue of stage fright for me.
Yeah.
I got over that when I took the course.
Yeah.
I took the Dale Carnegie course. So would I have started earlier? Yeah, it would have been nice to get involved earlier, but I think things come when they're supposed to.
Right.
Know?
Yeah. Oh, and
Life evolves the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, and it was kind of different time back then too. So, like, would you have gotten into? Would have been something you would have thought about or interested in during that time of your life when you were in like high school and stuff?
No, not really. I never had a burning desire to be on stage acting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Matter of fact, before I took the Dale Carnegie course, I eschewed any kind of on-stage spotlight kind of thing because I did have stage fright at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I got over that after taking that class, taking that course.
That's a great class, and again, I think more people need that, especially if you're in management and stuff. Because I've been in management since I was 17. But you're constantly like on stage as a manager, right? Because people are like, oh, there's the manager. Yeah.
Yeah, you're always performing one way or another. And there's a lot of opportunities in management for making presentations, and leading meetings, and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even sales.
Sales.
You're kind of acting.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had employees who were astonished that I can like lead a meeting I was never prepared for in like 2 seconds. I was like, oh, we have to do this meeting? Let's talk about this. He's like, were you prepared? I'm like, no. But but it's all part of the process in being a manager and thinking about like the total picture.
Yeah.
So you grew up in St. Louis?
St. Louis, yeah.
Yeah.
We lived there all through my wife and I lived there all through our lives until we got married, and then we moved away. Yeah.
Yeah. And was this the first place you moved to, or?
No, there's been a few places in between. The first big move was to Newport News, Virginia.
Okay.
Where I went to work for Newport News Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company.
Yeah.
Which is still there, still operating, but it's part of, I think, it's been handed from one big defense contractor to another since about 2000. But at the time, it was a corporation on the New York Stock Exchange, independent company. Tenneco bought it while I worked there, and that changed the shipyard completely. And luckily, I had just finished my MBA when Tenneco took over the shipyard, and they were looking around for people who would manage, who could move into management. And I raised my hand and said, "Here I am," and got involved with out of engineering into management at the shipyard. And then in 1985, I went to Houston to be at Tenneco headquarters in Houston. Tenneco, unfortunately, was a large conglomerate that faded away. In about the time they laid me off. It was in a big downsizing spiral that I think it evolves now down to what was Tenneco Automotive at the time. The pipeline is gone, the oil production and exploration facilities are gone. Case Tractor Company went independent, and Newport News Shipbuilding spun off. I mean, all the big divisions spun off, and Tenneco reduced down to just to the automotive. So the Tenneco mark is only on automotive manufacturing now.
Yeah, interesting. What was your favorite place that you've lived?
I think Houston of all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really liked Houston a lot. We were there for about 5 years, and we learned to do the two-step and ride horses and play golf, and it was a great place to live. Yeah.
What age was that for you?
Well, 85. I was 45.
Okay.
Between 45 and 50. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How long are you and your wife married?
Ooh, let's see. We're married in '61, so 64 years this year.
Yeah. That's
Wow.
amazing. Yeah. That's 2 or 3 lifetimes.
It adds up, doesn't it?
Right? Yeah. My husband and I have been together 15, and that seems like a long time, but 64 years.
Yeah, well, it is a long time.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
A
great.
relationship, they either last or they don't, you know. And,
Especially 'cause how old were you all when you got married?
21 or 22, I guess. We're between 21 and 22.
Yeah.
Both of us, yeah.
Well, that's good. You got through the...
I always kid her. I said, she's much older than me.
Yeah.
She's like 74 days older than me.
But you got through the, it's so tough having a relationship in your 20s because you're both growing and changing and developing and becoming who you are and doing it together.
It was a strange evolution there. Corolla, my wife, she sort of had her life and I had mine. We loved each other and we lived together and all that, of course, but I enjoyed sailing and active outdoor activities, and she was involved in philanthropic things. She belonged to Alpha Sigma Phi sorority, which is a St. Jude's Hospital is their main charity.
Nice.
And they were raising funds for them all the time. So we had our lives that were kind of separate but together until we got this franchise and went into business together. She became my office manager at the time, and it brought our relationship to a whole different level. I mean, I tell you, it was where I was used to telling her what the decision was. She was ready to talk about, let's make this decision together.
Yeah.
And I got to respect her a lot more after we worked together in business like that. That was a fun part of our life. Yeah.
Yeah. How was that transition for you? Really in depthly doing that?
Well, it was a lot like corporate management in a way, because we had the franchise office in Atlanta, which was like our corporate office.
Yeah.
And we had our office here in Louisville. So policies, procedures, advertising, some of those things that a corporate office would normally do, they took care of. And then we made sure that everything was pulled together and presented to the public, marketed, and delivered here in the field. So it was a transition, but it was not uncomfortable for me because of the structure of it.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot different if I had said, okay, I'm going to go to Louisville and start a business and just hang up a shingle and go to work.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have been. I don't think I could have done that.
No. Yeah. And how did you all balance because you're working together and then you have to go home? How did you balance when we're at work, when we're home, it's different?
It stayed with us all the time. I mean, there was no yin and yang there. It was all one life together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That sounds great though. You guys got through it and grew together and became You know.
Yeah, we made it all the way through that and everything else, and then my wife, bless her heart, has come down with dementia, and she's pretty much incapacitated now.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's tough. My grandmother had that.
Yeah, October 21st of 2021, a neighbor knocked on the door and said, I think your wife fell down out here in the driveway. And I ran outside, sure enough, and she had, her hip had failed. I don't know if the fall broke it or the
Which
hip
happened
failed
first.
and
Yeah.
she fell. But anyway, she had to have her hip reworked and kind of put together again. And she hadn't been able to walk since. So it's been going on 4 years that she's been an invalid. And add to that the fact that she's got dementia. I mean, she's pretty much out of the picture now.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that. Sad. And how many kids do y'all have?
We had 3. Yeah, one in California, one in Virginia Beach, and one in Orlando, Florida.
Oh wow.
You know, but I kid the kids. I said, "You all are about as far away from each other as you can get."
Right? Did they not get along? No.
Well, there was a lot of sibling rivalry when they were growing
naturally.
up, but
Yeah.
and
Naturally.
I guess a psychologist could make something out of it, but they do live in completely.
Well, it's good they all like
Different
are
places.
independent and like do
Oh,
their
they
own
are.
thing.
Yeah, they're all very successful too. I'm very proud of
Oh,
the
good.
kids.
Good
yeah.
job. I blame the parents for things like that. Yeah.
I'd like to take credit for it, but I think they did a lot of work themselves too.
Yeah, but you gave them the opportunity and the ability to be independent and strong and have their own.
We always felt like it was important to keep the kids stimulated somehow.
Yeah.
You know, in a good way. You know,
Yeah.
In a good way, and I think that paid off because they are independent and they're successful, and that's what counts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've each got families of their own too. So it's life goes on.
Yeah. And you had a daughter just out here visiting with you, I guess, recently, right? When you went to the.
Yeah.
Yeah, Caravan Comedy Club in Littleton, right?
Yeah. Nice.
She was visiting it for a few days. Yeah.
What'd she think of my set?
Huh?
What'd she think of my set?
She was impressed. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be one way or the other.
He's a hit or a miss. I say that with love.
Chris Rock used to try his stuff out at places like the Caravan, not at the Caravan, but places like it.
Yeah.
And he would look forward to bombing so that he'd know how far he could go, you know.
Yeah.
And then come back.
Yeah. We both kind of push the limits in our own different way.
We do.
Are you in stand-up also?
I'm in stand-up too.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
But I'm gay and I came out 36 years ago, so a lot of my stories are the fun I had in the 90s.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Which isn't always it's not a kid-friendly audience.
Yeah. Times have changed, thank goodness. Huh?
Yeah. Thank goodness for sure. What is one of your earliest memories that you have from like your childhood or whatever from?
Wow. I remember the one and only birthday party that my mother gave for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was strange because I was taking a bath and she brought a bathrobe in to me to put on. I thought I was maybe 4.
Yeah.
I was really young. And so it was strange that she would give me a bathrobe to put on to come out of the bathroom. But when I came out, it was a surprise party. You know, the kids from the neighborhood were there. Surprise! It really impressed me.
Wow.
That's probably the earliest memory I've got.
And the only
one that
birthday
comes to
party
mind
she
anyway.
did for you? The only birthday party that she did for you?
Yeah, well, Corolla gave me one. My wife gave me one about 50 years later, but yeah.
Yeah.
My birthday is on the day before Christmas.
Oh.
So, you know, it gets kind of overshadowed by what's going on in the rest of the world there.
I get that. I wasn't sure if it was child abuse or something else going on.
Nothing like that.
I was like, do we have trauma we want to get through for you right now? Nice. So when you were in high school and you were a teenager and stuff, what were your dreams or aspirations, or what were your goals, or you thought you wanted to be when you grew up, sort of?
I don't know if it was my father's influence or whatever, but I was always convinced that I wanted to be a structural engineer. You know, bridges and dams and highways, there was kind of a romantic thing about
Yeah.
doing that, you know. And all the way through high school, that was my goal, you know, was to become an engineer, and I did. That was not the easiest thing to do because I didn't know, when I got to college, I didn't know how to behave properly to make it through. I wasn't there to go to school, I was there to have a good time.
Yeah.
And then I had to come back and try it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you go to college?
University of Missouri at Rolla,
Yeah.
Missouri.
Is it a party school or was
No,
it?
no.
Just you.
There was a lot of beer drinking going on, but it was not really a party school, as I've come to understand party schools to be. But enough to keep me distracted from studying, and so I had to make a second run at it, and I did, and successfully made it through school. Yeah, that's when I got the job at the shipyard. They were interviewing on campus for mechanical engineers, and I'd read this book, Introduction to Steel Shipbuilding by Smokey Baker, and I'll tell you, it just blew me away. You know, the pictures in it and the stories about shipbuilding just completely wrapped around me.
Yeah.
So I signed up for an interview with the shipyard, whether they wanted to talk to structural engineers or not, and got a job.
Nice.
That was fun, yeah. So we went there, yeah.
Nice.
Packed up our 2 rooms of furniture and went to Newport News, Virginia.
I think it's funny that it was sponsored by Smokey Bear, like the Smokey Bear, like
Smokey Baker.
Oh, Smokey Baker.
Baker,
Okay,
yeah.
that makes more sense. I was like,
Yeah.
Smokey Baker.
He was the author of that book that I read.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't his real name was something else, but Smokey was his nickname, and that's pretty much what they referred to his book as, Smokey Baker's book, yeah.
which makes more sense because I'm like, why was Smokey the Bear telling you to go be an engineer? I'm like, only you can prevent forest fires and build a ship to contain
Prevent
that
forest fires, take a ship.
Yeah. What do you think was your biggest risk that you've taken in life but got like the biggest reward? And it doesn't have to be financial. It could be an emotional reward or just like very satisfying.
I think the biggest risk was taking the Dale Carnegie course.
Yeah.
It became apparent to me that unless I got over this reluctance to be in front of people and make presentations of any kind, my job was going to be limited from that time on.
Yeah.
So making the decision to take that course was probably the turning point in my life. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you think the risk was in that? Because that seems like more of an opportunity.
The risk was getting
over the fear,
getting up in front of people, and overcoming that situation I was in. Yeah. It came out. We developed this budgeting system in the shipyard, and it was time to take it out and quote sell it to the people that were going to be using it. And when it came time to do that, I went up to give the presentation, and my boss said, "Well, John, we'll take care of that." No, they got somebody else to do the presentations. And that's when I discovered that I better make some fundamental changes in my ability to get up in front of people.
Yeah.
Or I was going to be shuttled off to the side every time.
What was the biggest lesson you think you took from that course?
Trusting people and myself.
Yeah.
But trusting others more than I. A lot of times I think people are afraid to do things because they're not sure of how other people are going to react to them, how they're going to be accepted, how they're going to move on.
Yeah.
And getting over that, I think, allowed me to function more easily.
Yeah. It's such an interesting thing to me, stage fright with people. When I took a comedy class, that's how I got started in stand-up, and there was a guy in the class who was so afraid to be on stage. And in the class, with just the 5 people he's hanging out with every class, he was so afraid on stage. But then, like, he would do his set, have complete fear, he'd have to read his paper, like all this stuff. But then when we were just chatting with him and giving him feedback, he's like, "Oh, here's a joke I was going to tell, but I didn't." And he told the whole joke completely calm and relaxed because we were having a conversation. And I was like, you need to think of every time you go on stage, you're just conversing with people. Like, do what you did right now, but like every time. I mean, it's a hard concept, but I'm like, you're literally like did it with no fear. But it's an interesting roadblock or wall that we put up sometimes when we're like, and I think you're right. It's how are people going to receive us? What are they thinking? You know, what am I going to get back?
Yeah, you have to trust yourself enough to lay it out there.
Yeah.
And trust them enough that they're not going to come back and attack you.
Yeah. And I tell comedians and other people all the time now, I'm like, you just have to, I think if you own it, people will believe it more. Like sometimes people will tell jokes or do a presentation and not own it and feel confident. And then that's when you lose it, I think. But you've got to, even if it's bad, you got to be like, I own this. This is what I'm doing. You know, and just walk away and be like, yeah, that was that.
I think going into stand-up is going to be another major decision point in my life. Yeah.
You should do it. We need more. We need more people of your age, I think, in stand-up.
Yeah, I think I can do it. I'm writing the material.
Yeah.
And making it mine, taking it out there. That's going to be I've already decided to do it. It's just a matter of now of taking the steps to do it.
Just go to open mic night and do it. Yeah, tear the Band-Aid off.
That's what Greg Ewing said. The starting gate is the open mic.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, let us know, and if we can come down, if it's not on a weekday, well,
that'd be great. Yeah,
for sure, absolutely.
I'll be back at Caravan, I think March 19th.
Okay, great. I'll be sure to come over for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I would love to see you stand up. I think you probably present really well on the stage and stuff. Yeah.
I think there's a good spot for a comic, for a comedian, in this senior living market. I really do, because most of these people have had life experiences that are the envy of a lot of others. You know,
yes.
Especially people living in facilities like this. You know, they're all very successful. But I've also noticed that they kind of have withdrawn into themselves. Like we have people here whom I've never seen. They never come out of their apartment. They have their meals delivered to their apartment, and they're satisfied to stay there. I don't know what they do while they're in there. Maybe watch TMC for all I know. But anyway, I think there's a market for somebody to draw them out. You know.
I agree.
To get people involved again. And I think that's the bridge I can make between my experience as a Dale Carnegie course instructor and LTM instructor, bringing people out into the conversation, as opposed to just standing up there and telling jokes and entertaining them. You know?
Yeah, well, and I think there's an element of telling jokes and doing stand-up that's also therapeutic and gives people an opportunity to express themselves and their own trauma and talk about their life, which, you know, a lot of comedians have a lot of trauma, so they talk about. And one thing that I've noticed in my lifetime about the older generation that I think people don't think about when they think about their parents and grandparents is a lot of those people haven't dealt with their own childhood trauma and stuff as well. So it's like the people that are hiding out, they just might be sad. You know? Like my grandmother, she had Alzheimer's, and she had like a nervous breakdown and was just like comatose and like she was like had her eyes closed and lying, and I remember her always saying that her dad would like spank her and beat her, and her brothers and sisters always like, just cry. So I looked at her and I said, it's okay to cry. So I feel like she'd been holding in her tears for like 50 years, and she just bawled her eyes out, you know. And that's when I realized, I'm like, you know, my dad and her and other older generation, I think we forget that they're not perfect and they have their own trauma they may or may not have dealt with. And anyway, I think stand-up can be a part of that and help people and get, you know, even get other people to come up. I've been doing a storytelling thing in Indy, which is really kind of fun and expressive, because it's not even necessarily stand-up. It's just, here's a story about this topic, and I'm gonna like release some stuff. So do it, start it. And then,
have you studied any like joke writing? Have you read like a book about joke writing or anything like that to prepare yourself? Because that's what did it for me. I read a book about joke.
Well, I've got a couple of books. One, Mastering Stand-Up, is one that is more about the business of stand-up comedy, and then How to Write Jokes is a good book. Yeah.
It goes a long way.
Yeah. Every day I write some jokes. I got a book. I just keep writing them out. Don't know if I'll ever use them, but still, it's. I get the feeling that it's part of the discipline of comedy is writing your jokes, and doing it every day, and not just every once in a while.
I need to do that.
Yeah.
Like I said,
you might never use them. I mean, you might
it
have
gets your
50,
thoughts out.
50 jokes there.
Yeah.
And one of them might be.
Yeah. No, I have
valuable.
I have a bad habit, similar to like how I could throw it to a meeting together. I've been thrown on stage and be like, I had a friend once who was like, it's great when you're prepared. I'm like, oh, I wrote down 5 words and went up there and did that, Because a lot of the stand-up I do is storytelling. And I'm not saying that's how you should do it or that I'm necessarily good at it. I just had a good night, right?
He's good at it. He's good at it.
But yeah, writing and getting it together is better. At least outlining it.
Yeah.
I think your ideas.
Well, I think you write the joke, but you don't
Yeah.
you don't memorize it. You write the joke because it's there. You can refer back to it and refresh it, but you tell it as a new thing every time you tell it. Yeah.
So what's your vision for like maybe bringing comedy and stuff into like the living facility here and stuff? Would you bring outside comics, or would you want to get more of the people in the community to do it? Would you have the younger comics come in?
I would, first of all, I would start it myself. I would be the host and the
headliner, the feature.
But I think after a while, people like Greg Ewing and Keith McGill could help me expand it to bring in other people to the places. We have something here called a happy hour, and it's anything but. And that's one of the main reasons why I want to do it, because I think people are looking for a lift. They want something to get involved with and give them a conversation piece. Can you imagine how bad that comic was? I mean,
something, yeah. And older people are they're funny, and they have story, like you said, they have stories to tell and things to talk about and experiences that
There's a couple of characters here that I'm sure will try to take over. When I get the act going here, it's going to be a matter of hosing them down a little bit.
I look forward. I want to come watch. This sounds a lot of fun. Yeah. I mean, you're far away, but anything we can do to help, obviously. Yeah. Do you have any regrets in life?
No, I think regrets are pretty much a waste of time.
Right, because every regret leads to a new destination, right? Another door or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I don't really have any regrets. I went to Houston and thinking that was going to be a really long-term affair, and 5 years later got laid off. Well, that layoff turned into an opportunity to go over and live in France for a year on the company, working for the company in France. See, what happened was they laid me off in December, and then came back later and said, would you go to Case? We need somebody up there to work in your field. And so I did. And when I got there, they hired a new vice president for IT, and he called me in the office and said, would you go to France for me and stay over there for about a year while I get things squared away here?
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens after that. And I said, well, let me talk to my wife, but I'm sure the answer is going to be yes. And we did. So being laid off in Houston amounted to living just outside of Paris.
How was that?
For over a year. I mean, that's incredible, yeah. So do I have any regrets?
No.
Not really.
How was living in France?
Oh, that was fun. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Although I must tell you that after a while, being immersed in a foreign language begins to wear on you a little bit. You get a little disappointed with yourself. I got disappointed with myself for not learning the language faster.
Yeah.
Got a little frustrated by not being able to understand it.
So that's why it didn't make your favorite place you lived list, right?
What?
So that's how come it didn't make your favorite places that you've lived list? Because I would thought France over Houston, but...
Although France was a very close second to Houston, that's for sure. We had a beautiful little apartment. amazing what they do with space. I mean, we had 700 square feet in this apartment, and in that space we had 3 bedrooms, kitchen, eating area, dining, living area, two baths, 2 complete baths.
That's like, this room's like 300 square feet.
700 square feet. I mean,
Yeah, it's like this room.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. How'd your wife like living there?
She liked it a lot. Yeah. She became kind of a travel agent for us. You know, I was working, so I was on the road back. I had plants in France, Germany, and Spain, but I never made it to Spain. Didn't have to go over there. France and Germany were the 2 main, and England, 3 places I had to go. So I was pretty much wrapped up in that. So she would make these trips. Like Easter one year, she booked us into Bordeaux. And we went to Bordeaux for Easter.
Nice.
Traveled the wine country down there, and then came back to Paris. We went skiing at the Trois Valleys, there are 3 valleys in France. It's where they had the Winter Olympics in France not long ago. We went skiing there. She took over kind of to make sure that we didn't waste our opportunity while we were in Europe.
Absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know where to go. France is amazing. Yeah, sounds amazing. Yeah. Sounds amazing. France is awesome. All of Europe is very cool. Yeah. So, if I was an 18-year-old kid graduating high school, about to start my life, what advice would you have for that person?
My motto this year is, there's no more I was, only I am.
Nice.
So don't do things to be able to look back on them as accomplished. There's nothing wrong with that, of course, but be more involved in what's going on today in the now as opposed to what happened then.
Yeah.
If you're going into business, make sure you know the business before you go into it. There's nothing worse than trying to learn a business on the job training.
Right.
Because there's too much can go wrong there.
Yeah, that fake it till you make it doesn't always work.
No.
Yeah, exactly. And what I think is great about you and a good message for younger people, that I'm 55 and I try to tell people, because it seems like nowadays the younger generation, 24 and 30s, are like, I'm 24 and I'm so old. Like they're giving on life before it even starts.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm thriving in my 50s.
You are.
Here you are starting your acting,
look,
and
these are your salad years.
Yeah. Right. You know, and that's what I try to tell young people myself. You know, it's like, no, your life's just starting. You're as old as you feel. You know, and you're doing acting and starting all these new things. You know, like there's always time to start something new and learn and do something different.
Yeah, I think that's true. It's never too late to do something, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm not sure exactly how old you are, but as a person, how old?
Be 85.
Wow.
I'll be 86 this year. Yeah.
Oh man,
You're our oldest yet.
I thought you were in your 70s. Quite honestly, great. Yeah. So, as someone who's 85-year-old living with all your experiences and stuff like that, what brings you the most joy and satisfaction in your life? Would you say at this point? Or over your lifetime?
I think at this point in our life, the fact that Corolla is still with me, my wife, gives me a great deal of satisfaction, because I am convinced that love is the only thing that has kept her here. They told me when they did the operation on her that if she lasts a year, she'll be doing good. And that was 4 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's beautiful.
It's kind of hard to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, we appreciate you sharing. Yeah. That was kind of all our questions. Do you have anything else you want to share or talk about with us?
No, It is never too late. I quit smoking when I was 45.
Yeah.
I hope I did that in time.
Well, it seems like it. You're still going strong.
There's some lingering
Yeah,
effects.
naturally.
I quit drinking when I was 65. And that was just because it was starting to get in the way.
Yeah.
I didn't go to Alcoholics Anonymous. I just stopped drinking. And I think a person has to be aware of where he is in life and make decisions according to where he is.
Yeah.
And go on from there, as opposed to putting it off and then winding up really in a bad place.
Yeah. I agree. That's a good piece of advice and wisdom. So thank you.
And if you have something like that you would like to do, like stand-up comedy, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I wanted to do stand-up since I was like 17.
Is that right?
Yeah, but I waited until, and then I was going to start. I turned 50 in 2019. So 2020, I was like, this is the year I'm going to do stand-up. Then COVID hit.
Oh.
So I waited until 2023 because Helium had a Christmas discount on their class. So I'm like, I'm going to buy it and do it, and did it. And I think what the class helped me more than anything was to get me on the stage. And I kind of break that barrier and also kind of learn about like being on stage. And
so you're relatively new to stand-up.
Yeah, only a couple of years. It'll be 2 years. Well, 2 years next month, I guess. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's a lot of fun.
I'll look for you at the caravan.
Yeah, I'll bring him down with me and Mark.
Yeah, I work. I've got a job that if I lose my job, my husband will kill me. So I've got to keep my day job.
Is it Caravan Fridays, or was this the Wednesday?
It was a Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's another place I go to. I think it's in Ohio.
Yeah, I mean there might be a Wednesday or Thursday I can take off at some point, but not anytime soon.
Well, now we have 4 or 5 pretty nice comedy places down here.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, we can wrap this up and then talk about that. But yeah, thank you so
Cool.
much, John. We appreciate your time today and talking with us.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
It was great.
No, absolutely.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap,
Okay,
everybody. Thank
great.
you.
Super.